Hello, welcome to Oklahoma Moments. Today we have with us Mr. Leon Gleason, a resident of Ringling for a number of years and owner and publisher of the Ringling Eagle. He was born in Plain Dealing, Louisiana, and found his way to Oklahoma, which was really a credit and blessing to so many people during that time. At this time, I will welcome Mr. Leon Gleason to Oklahoma Moments.
Thank you, Corrina. I'm glad to be here.
Well, it's great to be here, and first of all, I'd like to share that Mr. Gleason will be 90 years young, January the 12th, 2001. And I can remember that January the 12th because that's my grandson, one of my grandson's birthdays.
Well, okay.
Mr. Gleason has lots of information about his life in pictures. He has so many, we could take all day making a film of this is your life, Mr. Gleason, which this is, but it's only going to be a portion of it that we're going to share with you because he's such an interesting man. Even at this young, youthful age, he goes to the Latter-day Saints Church Library and does research on genealogy. He's writing a book. He's compiling information about Jefferson County, and he keeps the genealogy library at the Ardmore Museum open on Sunday afternoon.
Sunday and Saturday. Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday. And I think just about every day he drives to Ardmore from Ringling. So we're going to let you tell about your life. We're going to be showing pictures that I compiled last night. You had so many it was hard to pick which ones to show.
Well, I know. I knew you had a job to do.
Well, at this time we're going to be showing pictures and we're going to be switching back and forth and you viewing him, but then the pictures and letting him tell all about them. So at this time, Darren, we'll let you switch to the pictures of Mr. Gleason's life. Okay, there is I think your father and your uncle on top, sitting on those stairs.
Yeah, that's my brother.
Oh, your brother?
My younger brother and my father and my brother's two older kids. They're sitting on the front porch of the old Pleasant Hill Church of Christ out in the country, about 3 miles out. It's at the Pleasant Hill Cemetery where I'll be interred.
There in Plain Dealing?
Well, it's about 3 miles east of Plain Dealing, Louisiana. I'm the oldest of 4 children. My brother is deceased. He died about 10, 15 years ago with cancer. He smoked himself to death.
Well, that's a good warning
So,
to everyone. Okay, then let's go on. And at the bottom picture, 2 pictures, is the home. I think you said it was the second home your father had built.
Yeah.
Beautiful home.
This is the second house. It's a very large house. He had a sawmill at the time. He cut nearly all the lumber that was in the house. And the house is approximately 50 feet square. Got a lot of halls and porches, as you can see. There's a porch that starts back of that porch room on the right and goes all halfway around the house. And then there's a hall that comes up through the middle of the house. And, well, there's enough of rooms in the house that she boarded 2 drilling crews for a drilling oil well close to where we live. She fed them and slept them. She changed sheets and things when they were changing shifts.
And that was one of the cooks on the steps.
I think that's one of the cooks that was on the steps.
One of the
It looks like she always had a colored cook because we always had a lot of company, and she's always prepared for it.
And that's the side or probably the back there. It looked like a 2-story home?
No, it's just a 1-story house.
Okay, and then it was up on
But it did have a lot of space on the steps. But it was lower at the back and it was high off the ground in front.
Okay.
That makes it look so high.
Okay. Was that because of perhaps flooding?
Well, the flow of the land.
Oh, okay.
Level of the land.
Okay. And
we had a dug well on the back porch where we got our water.
And okay, then we have.
In fact, we had a dug well on every house we ever had.
Let's go on to some more pictures then. Oh, this is when he was little. Him and his sister, I think, up there at the top. Yes.
Yeah, that's better.
Yes. Yeah,
that's me and my sister, my older sister, next to me. In our school pictures, I believe that's what that is.
Look about 7, 8, or 9.
Yeah, somewhere along in there.
Okay.
My first 3 years, I believe 3 years, I went to a rural school in close to Pleasant Hill School. church,
Okay.
close to the church. Then we moved to, started going to school in town. First year was a hack, pulled by 2 mules. Then he got an old Ford car pickup, not a pickup, but a Ford truck,
That
and
took
had
you
a
to school.
body built on it, and used a Ford body from then on, Ford truck. And we were carried into town where we went to high school, over grade school and high school. I believe it was 6th grade when I started school in Plain Dealing.
In plain dealing. Okay. Now, over on the right is
That's
strictly your...
color. We call her Mammy. Mammy was her name. She was the wife of the fellow that my dad bought 20 acres of land from to build his house on. It was just east of their Beverly. They still had some land left, and they lived there as long as they lived. They were old at that time.
And I noticed on the picture it said Leon's mammy.
Well,
So did you, each one of you children have your own?
No, that was her name, Mammy, M-I-M-I.
Oh, and so it just meant that the picture was yours.
Yeah, my picture, but that was her name.
Oh, okay.
Mammy Gay.
Okay. And then down at the bottom there's 3 little kids.
That's 3 of us kids, the first 3 kids, in a picture in the backyard of our first house. That's me at the back of the baby carriage, and then my sister in front, and my little brother in the baby buggy.
Okay.
And I got a few pictures of that, not a whole lot.
Okay. And then
That's in our backyard at the first house.
and then I think that's your grandfather. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, that's my grandfather sitting in the swing at his home. He had a home pretty close to town, and we walked to town just about near as long as he lived. He would come by our house every day. We lived on his route to town, and he'd come walking down the road and go to town there every day.
Well, that's good. And then it may be right on the top, right above your grandfather. I can't remember if that's your grandmother or not.
Yeah, that's
your
my aunt, my
your-
grandfather's sister. I think she was a baby sister, Lorna Gleason. And she visited around with the relatives because she didn't have a home.
And so,
And
well,
so
you know, a
she-
long time ago, that's how did. If there was someone, and especially if they were, as they said, an old maid or an old bachelor,
Yeah.
well, they'd come and go visit and stay with the different
Well,
ones.
that's what she was. She was an old maid and then never married.
Well, that is interesting. I'll tell you what, we've got so many that, and each one of them will bring back your another story. And as you tell one, I know that you would like to look at him when he's telling, but in order for you to see the picture, and there's several together on the page, we're going to show you the pictures and let him keep talking about them so that we can get through them, because there's so many, and then there's other things. We have lots of
Okay,
history.
well, we got enough time. Several hours, I think.
No. And it doesn't take long for 30 minutes to run by, does it? Okay,
No.
let's focus in on up at the top with this. I think this is one of his cousins. No, that's his. Is this your grandmother? with
No,
you?
grandmother was there with my youngest sister. My
Sitting in a rocking chair in the
Beulah,
backyard.
Beulah Dennis was her name, and Doris. Doris, that was my youngest sister. She was born in 1923.
She's just a baby there.
April 11th, I believe.
And this looks like your mother and father and maybe an uncle with you
Well,
three
let me
kids.
see. I'm not sure what that picture is.
It's it looks like, I think it's your mother and father and
Oh
you
yeah,
three kids.
that's the front and steps side of the big house. And that's my mother and 2 of my brothers and sisters, my next sister and my brother, and a neighbor child that lived across the street. In fact, they're kinfolks. My daddy and her mother was double first cousins, and the lady that's standing next to my mother, she is a cousin of my daddy.
Okay, and then up at the top, I want us to be sure and zoom in on that old car and look at the man's hat that he's wearing, but the old car there.
Yeah, that's Carl and Myrtle Jones. And their son, Carl. No, Carl was his name. I forget the boy's name. Anyway, that's cousin. The wife was a cousin to my wife, and that's up around Hartright, Texas, in that area.
Well, Well, that is neat. I wanted everyone to see the old model car is what it is, and that's
Howard
neat.
Carr, that was the boy's name.
And the boy's name was Carl.
Howard Carr, yeah.
Howard
He
Carl.
named after his daddy.
Okay, let's go on to the next page. Okay, this looks like the kids here.
Yeah, that's my daughters, I think. Most of them. All four of them, I believe.
Yes, it is. Yes, and then there's the two girls.
Not because they were my kids, but they were pretty little girls when they was little.
Yeah,
In fact,
they
all
are.
still pretty.
Yeah, they passed for twins there.
Yeah. They're just 2 years difference in age. It's just one of them born November 22nd, and the other one born November 29th.
Well, that is darling.
My wife said she planned it that way.
Well, there they are. Say one's a baby and one when older. But I think is this you and your wife when you
Yeah,
in
that
on the
that
couple when
one
they were
that
just.
left there is me and my wife when pretty soon after we married.
Oh, that's a good picture.
I still had that I always liked that suit, that double-breasted suit.
That is good. And y'all lived in.
Well, she was living in Mount Pleasant, Texas when we married. Of course, I still live in Louisiana. But my first job was I was working at Jefferson, Texas, I guess, I had been working at Jefferson, Texas, not kind of Mount Pleasant. And I had been working at Mount Pleasant for about 8 months when I met this lady that became my wife.
Well, but you know, and when we were looking at that, your home, the second home that your father built, well, when you grew up, you worked in the mercantile store there that your father
Well, that
had?
was later on after we moved to town.
And then you had worked in the sawmill and cotton gin?
Well, I didn't have much at the sawmill. That's man's job. And I wasn't old enough to work at the sawmill. So we moved to town when I was 12 years old.
Oh, really? And but your father had been in all of the
Well, he'd been just about every business you can think of. Anywhere from a shingle mill to a sawmill, gin, general merchandise store, and building houses, and just name it, he'd been at it. Sold feed and fertilizer,
and
bought cotton.
That house that he built was so pretty. That was in 1929, I think.
Well, the first house in the teens, before 1920, I think.
Okay.
About that time.
Okay. Well, I knew I'd seen something that said on the back of it said 1929. Well.
No, we'd already moved plain in town by that time.
Okay.
We moved to town 1923.
Okay. Let's go on to the next group of pictures then and see here. This looks like, yes, this is Ringling.
Yeah, that's Ringling.
Darren, let's zoom in on the one where the car is sitting in front where he bought the Ringling Eagle. That's in the 50s.
Yeah, that's the old Eagle office. The building's still there. One of the boys that worked for me, so I got up and repainted that sign on the front there. That portrait's on the building, not there now. It fell down. I hope to put it back some of these days.
And it's, I think it's brick now, isn't it, or rock?
No, it's an old tin building. Tin inside and tin sealed with tin. It gets pretty hot in the summertime.
I can imagine. Okay, then over to the side there, up at the top, is...
That's the Western Day that we have, Labor Day weekend, the Saturday before Labor Day. And that's the old bank building there on the corner. I bought it when they built a new bank building, and I later on in 1992, I gave that building to the city for a public library, which they are still using today, and done just fine.
And then the bottom now is a picture of a fire.
Yeah, they had a fire there, Morris Furniture Store, and that theater building, it burned at the same time. Later on, after this picture, I have a picture of that front wall of that theater falling over. It was about halfway down. I got it.
Really?
Yeah.
And it just burned all of those buildings there?
Yeah, burned about 3 buildings. Place of 3 buildings.
But they got to stop before it damaged the bank building.
Yeah. Well, we had fire trucks from everywhere in there helping us, especially with Hilton and OG&E bucket truck.
I can imagine.
That bank building, I think the windows in that bank building caught a fire, but they put it out before it done much damage.
That's about like the fire in Hilton recently, you know, where it was burning that building. It's a miracle it didn't burn the whole block there, too, especially when buildings are joined like that, like in here in Ringling. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, let's zoom in on the top there, top where the large
right.
group. Mhm.
Okay, that's all of those are my cousins that was taken at the funeral of the last one of my aunts. She was the last member of our brothers and sisters, my daddy's brothers and sisters. And I took that during the funeral. After the funeral was over, I got that many of them together. That's not near all of them.
Well, that's great.
But let's see. The one on the left hand there, the one on the front, is the oldest Gleason member still living.
Oh, really?
He's about 2.5 years older than me, and I'm the next in line.
Uh-huh. Okay, then the ladies up there at the
Now
top.
that, I think that's my wife's aunt's. That's her mother's sister. My wife may be in that picture. I can't tell exactly.
I think your wife is
It's on the
on
right hand end, I
yes,
believe.
on our right.
I know that's her mother's between the other two, and I believe that's her one of the aunts there on the end, and I believe it's in one of her sisters.
Now, is this your
Now,
wife's parents?
That's my parents.
Oh, your parents'
That's
50th
their
anniversary?
50th anniversary, yeah. And that was in, let's see, they married in 1910, so that'd been
1960.
1960, yeah.
Now, did they still live in Louisiana?
They both deceased at this
But
time.
they lived in
They
Louisiana.
lived in Louisiana at that time, yeah.
Okay, now the next one I think is you and your wife. No? That's you
yeah,
and your
that's
aunt?
me and my sister.
Oh, you and your sister, okay.
Yeah, that's my sister next to me. She's about 2.5 years younger than me. She lives at Plaindale in Louisiana, in our hometown where we grew up. And her husband is deceased about 3 years ago.
And there was you 4 children?
There's 4 children, and well, there's 5. One was born dead,
Uh-huh.
and but we don't count
Yes.
that. 'Cause
But are all 4 of you
the
children
fourth,
still?
that's my territory.
Well, that's great. And
And this brother of mine, he died about 10 or 15 years ago with cancer.
so is it just you and one sister now?
I got 2 sisters.
2
The
sisters.
younger sister.
Uh-huh.
She lives in Boise City.
Okay, let's show some more. Okay, just for the history part of it, up at the top is the gate and the Zana over the.
That's the old Zana
Zana
school.
school, yes. And we
What that
went.
Kate,
Kate Salt. Kate Salt.
Yeah.
Zana's,
She was teaching that for a long time. Principal, I think.
Yes, and you know.
Present principal is a Wade boy.
Yes, Calvin Wade.
Calvin Wade, yeah.
He's been good, but that was why I wanted that in there for history because
Yeah.
you went by going to Ardmore all the
Yeah, I
time.
just stopped
passing
one
it,
time
yeah?
and snapped that picture.
That's great. I'm proud you did. And then I think up there at the top is I think your family, your wife and your and you and the
that's
children, the daughters and their husbands or what?
Well,
or
let me see. That's it.
I think there's a
That's
granddaughter.
my oldest daughter on the left, her husband right sort of behind her, and my youngest daughter sitting down, and my wife next to her on the right. And then behind her is a granddaughter, and then me, I guess. I believe that's her. I can't see all of it, but that's
I
her.
know. And
Okay.
and I think down at
Now
the bottom
there's
is you and your wife and your 2 daughters.
Okay, yeah, on the right's my daughter, and me, and my wife, and the other daughter, both daughters.
Uh-huh. Where does your daughters live?
Well, the youngest one lives in El Reno, which is near Oklahoma City, and the oldest one lives in Bridgeport, Texas. Her husband is minister of the Church of Christ there. That's him in this picture here.
Oh, okay.
On the right,
Okay.
and that's me.
They
And,
live at Bridgeport, Texas?
yeah, I just moved there about 6 months ago.
Uh-huh.
That's my wife and the oldest daughter, and her husband, and me.
Where's your son-in-law from?
Well, I don't know just where he grew up at, but Bridgeport is sort of the area where he used to range.
Oh, okay.
His
Okay.
first wife was from Bridgeport.
And so
And
he's
she's deceased, and then he married my daughter.
and he's a minister in
He's
that
a
area.
minister in Bridgeport now.
Well, that's great.
They keep him busy.
I can imagine. I
Pretty
can
large
imagine.
church. Pretty large church.
Yes,
He's
well,
minister Church of Christ there.
We're going to see some more here. I don't know how many more we have, but
I just keep on going. You can make another section or something.
okay. Up at the top, I think that is. Let's go in up at the top.
Oh, that's
here.
Willie B. Boyd. That's my second cousin, I guess. His mother and my father were double first cousins.
Uh-huh.
2 brothers married 2 sisters. And the lady with her is my sister,
Uh-huh.
my older sister.
And I think this.
And that other Willie B. Boyd is on the left-hand side. That's the podium.
Uh-huh.
And that center picture is my granddaughter. And the next picture on the right is me and my wife.
Uh-huh.
And let me see the right-hand picture. That's Howard Gleason. That's the oldest Gleason one living, and my sister. She was queen at this family reunion we had.
She was.
She was the oldest female there.
Well, and you know we're going to get into some more history. We have so many interesting things here, but I noticed one here is a Negro slave deed found at the old Gleason home place.
Yeah, this is William T. Gleason.
Uh-huh.
He was a rich man that lived at Minden, Louisiana. He's another branch of the Gleason family, but I think his great grandfather and my grandfather were the same person.
Oh, really? And this was written in the Minden, Louisiana.
He owned about half the buildings in Minden. He had one of about every kind of business was in town.
Today he owns 7,000 acres of the city property and land.
Land. Most of it was land, and a lot of lots in town.
And so he found this for the deed to a Negro slave purchased in 1838 by the late Phineas Gleason Jr., grandfather of W.T. Gleason of Minden.
Well, that's also my grandfather, great-grandfather.
Well, now that is something to have. And then I know that you like to do the history here.
Yeah, that's Ringling history.
Ringling history, and you have some information
That's
about.
Long since I read that article, I forgot what's in it.
Well, it's about the Circus King, John Ringling.
Yeah, I know it is.
And Jake Hammonds, and
this article here is about his home in Florida, and he bought a lot of foreign stuff and furnished his home with it.
Oh, really?
And it tells all about it in that story.
Well,
and I don't remember a whole lot about that story, but
this was Wilson, Oklahoma, in March the 8th, 1914.
Okay.
Wilson was less than a month old.
Well, I assume Wilson was organized shortly before Ringling was.
It said Wilson was
the first lots for Ringling sold in April of 1914. I don't know. I know
really?
about that Ringling.
Okay, well, it
I don't know
said
about
Wilson was less than a month old, I guess, when Ringling came into. I guess. I see here, with you being the owner and publisher of the paper, the Ringling Advertiser.
That was my competitor who done that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she started 2 papers while she was Ms. Watkins.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But I finally bought the second one out, and that ended it.
And
that's the other paper.
And this is the
one was a View, another was I think this is the first one. That was the next one.
This was in 1985.
But that's probably a later date, I think.
And this was it showed 1984.
Oh, maybe so. Maybe it's vice versa.
And
that's when they won the state championship.
Oh, and this is the Blue Devils are state champs in 1989. And this is.
It shows the coach and the guy congratulating him on it.
And this is Leon Gleason's Ringling Eagle.
Yeah.
Darren, show that. Show the date. That's kind of neat. Now, that wouldn't be neat for the Wilson Eagles to see, but I think that's neat for the
because I'm from Ringling.
Yes, the Blue Devils are state champs, and I can remember when all the hullabaloo. We were proud for.
I think we might have a state champion team this year.
Oh yes, it sounds like it. That is great. And the date was December the 14th, 1989, and that is great. And then I can remember when the playoff. I think. People from all around here, all in this area, went to see the
Stillwater.
Yes. Blue Devils host Fox in district contest.
Yeah, I forgot what that paper's about.
It's just some more of the Ringling news, Ringling on the move, and then of course helping those less fortunate. This is Mary and Sid Gilstrap.
Mary and Sid Gilstrap. He lived in Ardmore and he used to work at the postal department. And he's retired. Both of them are deceased at this time.
Well, they were good workers in
he
the
wrote a book on his life, which is very interesting.
Yes.
And they used to live out in close to Ringling, in the old Jackson place, when he was a boy, and his dad was working for Mr. Jackson. Then, in fact, they're buried. His parents were buried at the old Corrina cemetery there.
Oh, really?
And probably an uncle or two. Maybe a cousin.
Well, goodness, that is so interesting to see that. You know, Dr. Virgil Trout.
Yeah, I know
He's
Virgil.
Isn't he a fine
I've been
gentleman?
on him 40 years, I guess.
I've had him on my show, and he's just really.
That's my parents in their 50th anniversary. I think we showed that.
Yeah,
picture
we showed that. Yes, and that was in this paper was in 1980, and it shows that. Okay, and then
here's a column. CSU used to be worked hard about.
C.A.
Tell all
Fuller.
about Ringling.
Yes, Ringling, Mud Creek, back in '89, and then here is a story of you when you were getting ready to retire.
Yeah, that's my last issue.
Okay, Darren, let's show this and see some of that because we want to get all of your
It's historical material.
yes, we want to get all of your historical stuff in there that we can, and whenever we switch back, we will show people your trademark. And this is that's Mr. Gleason there, and he's showing his paper. And
I'm in the art right office when I'm doing that.
When you're in the art
Because they
right
was printing the paper for me.
And so that's where all the little rural towns take their paper to be printed.
Yeah, they printed all the papers in the area.
That's great. And well, you know, I said that I'd show you his trademark. If when I first said, well, how would I know Mr. Leon Gleason? I've heard of him for years, but I don't know him. And they said, well, he goes to the senior nutrition center there in Ringling and eats several days a week when he's not going to Ardmore, usually. And said he's an older man, tall, with white hair. And I said, well, how will I know him? And they said, you'll know him when you see him. He'll have a bunch of papers in each pocket because it's genealogy and all this. So.
Yeah. This chair don't have one pocket, so I couldn't bring all my stuff.
All of his papers here, and he came to my home yesterday, and for us to pick out the pictures, and I didn't know him when he was getting out. And then when he turned around carrying these picture albums in and everything, well, I saw the papers in both pockets. His shirt had two pockets. So I knew it was Mr. Gleason. But it's been great having you on our show. We didn't cover near all of it.
I got lots more material.
See, that 30 minutes went by fast.
Yeah.
And but I wanted to share Mr. Gleason's life with you on what we could in this 30-minute show on This Is Your Life.
Well, let me
Mr.
say just
Leon
one more word
Gleason.
or two. I still have the newspaper to me each week, even though I've told out to a wonderful owner. She's done real nice with it.
Mr. and Ms. Grace.
Jay and Jay and Melissa Grace. They've done a wonderful job with the Ringling.
They are.
And I'm proud of that.
They're real good people, too.
Congratulate them.
And, well, you know, I write, every once in a while, I write a few things and stick into the Ringling Eagle.
Okay.
And, but yes, and we're proud.
One more, I got to get this in.
Okay.
I'm chairman of the library board there because I gave them the building. They made me chairman of the board.
There's always one way to get someone on there to work. And you are very active, still active in the community, and very worthwhile projects. And knowing you just from visiting with you this week and talking with you, I know that you will be active until the Lord rings that golden bell and calls you home. Yes. Well, listen.
Well, this is fun. I tell people I'm going to live to be 100. I might make it.
You may make it.
Since I'm got this close.
Yeah, you're awfully close. You may make it.